Today we're going to be continuing to take a look at a scenario where civilization starts over. We are now on episode number 13. Unlucky number. Maybe this episode will be unlucky for some countries. I don't know, that could be signaling something. But in the last episode, we saw some pretty big events take place. I mean, the main one down here was the rise of the Berbers. The Berber Empire basically just came out of nowhere, but not really. There were people living here always, and they just kind of showed everyone that if you piss them off, they are going to absolutely destroy you. And they're not done. They're going to continue doing that this episode, so stay tuned for that. What else did we see? We saw that Johann did his final conquest, conquesting all of modern-day Germany, and even pushing up against the Juts up here, or Jutes. I don't know. I don't really know what the demonym for that is. But we also saw over here that Armenia expanded a bit. There was this whole Balkan League fallout, which is what we're going to be exploring in this episode, and it's going to be leading to a very big war. And I don't think there was anything else that happened. But before we get into any of the Balkan Wars, we're actually going to be going to Iberia, where a lot of events are going to be taking place. Firstly, we see that Valencia has gone ahead and decided that it needs to basically just go bully some countries. So we see that Valencia will quickly launch an invasion into this country, managing to wipe them off the map, in which it will do. Meanwhile, over here, this Leon country, or Leon, I don't really know how you say it, will have moved in and wiped out this country, fully annexing it. Like so, and thus we need to go ahead and demote some of these cities because, oh, that's the wrong way round, because they are no longer major cities and need to be made minor, I guess. That's the phrase. We see down here that the Cadiz country wants to secure its borders, so it has gone ahead and launched an invasion into this country. However, from up above, we see that this pink country also has wanted some land, so they will go ahead and split this country. And there we go. These are the new borders down here. The Cadiz country has secured themselves a pretty nice base, and they are probably one of the strongest Iberian countries. But for the next part of events in Iberia, we actually have to go to the alliance layer, where we're actually going to be seeing our kind of first personal unions in a while, which are taking place. Now I have to remake this crown, so this is like really awkward. I'm gonna have to figure out how to make a crown again. And there we go. We have this crown, which does look weird, but it's whatever. And obviously, if you couldn't tell, this personal union is going to be with this Galician country, but it's also going to be with this Asturias country. Actually, this colour is technically wrong, because the leader of this personal union is the Asturias country, not Galicia. But we also see down here that Portugal has entered a personal union with, I guess, kind of southern Portugal down here. And obviously, the leader of this personal union is going to be Portugal. And if you don't know what personal union is, it basically just means that the leaders of the personal union are like, it's the same leader. Like the leader of Asturias is the same guy that leads Galicia, and same down here, basically. It could evolve into like a union, or it could, like, as in the countries become one country, or it could just stay as kind of like this federal union, where for the most part, I mean, most power is kind of given to like a local ruler, but obviously the main king of South Portugal is also the king of Portugal, and vice versa, you know. But that is the updates for Iberia. Right, actually, I guess there will be one more update, and that is that this Catalonia country has been given some support by France to go ahead and sort out some of its neighbours. So it will be pushing into this country over here and basically wiping it out. Now, we do see that Catalonia does try and take this Pyrenees country. However, eventually they are just kind of repelled, and they can't really penetrate the Pyrenees mountains. So, yeah, good job, Pyrenees country. Or I guess you could call it Andorra. I mean, if you look at the modern borders, it's somewhat near Andorra. So I guess you can call this the Andorra country if you want. Andorra, and I can't say it. You know what I mean. We also see that the Aquitaine country over here has gone ahead and launched an invasion into these two countries. And now I know some people are going to be upset that I am just taking countries off the map. But don't worry, they'll come back. But like, I kind of need you know, to consolidate some of these borders, because obviously these countries would have had wars, but I can't drag it over multiple episodes, if you know what I mean. Like, you could say that this would have happened over like 5 episodes, maybe. It's just, I don't show it. I normally just show them in a bulk. Like, I'm just like recapping what happened in Iberia over the last, like, I don't know, like 5 episodes. I apologize if you don't like that, but like, it's just needed to progress the series. But that's kind of the problem with these series, or at least one of the problems. So I try and make it as little as a problem as possible. But yeah, anyway, moving on. I guess I won't keep anyone waiting, and we can just go ahead and look at this war. Now, previously, we saw that the Balkan League split between the people that supported Western Macedonia and the people that supported Albania. And now it's probably just going to go ahead and break out into a full-blown conflict. However, we actually see that some more countries are going to be joining in on this conflict. And we actually see that all four of these Bulgarian countries, fearing Varna over here, which is slowly expanding to encompass basically all of the Bulgarian people, are actually not really that well encompassing all of them, but encompassing a decent amount of Bulgarian people. These four Bulgarian states, which are the only four majority Bulgarian states left other than Varna, fear for their safety, so they join Serbia. Meanwhile, we actually see that this country over here, which is like the only majority Greek country left in modern day Greece, is going to go ahead and actually join Albania's side, as there's kind of some like old exiled like Athenian government have moved here and basically taken, this is kind of like Athens continued, kind of like most of the higher ups / nobles are old Athenian nobles. So essentially there's just Athens v2, and Athens had a very good relation with Albania, so they will be joining. Meanwhile, this little pink country over here will be abstaining. But yeah, Albania is kind of outnumbered in this conflict, and Albania knows that this conflict is soon going to erupt. So Albania kind of has to think strategically about this, and they basically have to like tranquilize the threat before it takes hold. And we actually see that Albania will be trying to get some further friends, which is pretty not good, because the friends they're trying to get, one, hate Albania, and two, their last episode they may have declared neutrality, and I'm talking about Croatia and Venice over here. Now Albania makes a pretty tempting offer. Say, hey, Croatia, you can get all of your lost land back, including all of Bosnia and some Montenegro, and Venice over here, you can take these two islands from Macedonia, which are some pretty decent like trading islands. And you know, maybe if you want to invade this pink country over here, Venice, we'll you know, bat an eye. And these offers are tempting, but, you know, they did declare neutrality, so it's like, it's kind of on the fence for now. But we then see that Albania goes over to Croatia and is like, you're going to get slammed by Serbia after I'm dead. So Croatia will be joining this alliance, and everyone's like, you can't do that, but there's no international body, so who's going to stop Croatia? Like, let's be real. However, for now, Venice will refrain from joining the war. But yeah, let's go ahead and look at the Second Balkan War, which involves every single Balkan country except this purple country down here and Sparta. Oh, never mind. The purple country has just gone ahead and joined on Serbia's side, so that's something. And Sparta has joined Albania's side. Now, this is not all of Venice. This is simply just Sparta. But yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at this war. Now, who will make the first move? It will be Albania, as we see that Albanian troops will quickly storm to encompass the Western Macedonian capital. And this will actually be a swift siege, as they weren't prepared for this. And we quickly see that the capital will fall. Well, over here, most of Western Macedonia actually submits over to Albania very quickly. However, down here, we see that this small Greek country has gone ahead and almost wiped out this country, beginning a siege of this land. However, we quickly see that this siege is a bad idea, as Sparta's main army will come in here and they will crush this pink country, which makes them lose all their land. And then around a month later, we see that Sparta has gone ahead and taken over most of this country's land, now beginning a siege on their land down here. How many times did I say land? You count it. We see that Macedonia is quickly forced to occupy this land. Meanwhile, up here, Serbia launches an invasion into the Kosovoan region of Albania, and they will quickly begin sieging this land. While over here, a smaller Albanian force will actually defeat the Montenegro force and push them back to their capital. However, when they try and begin sieging, we see a relief force from up here does manage to repel Albania as they are quicked out the country. And we see that the new and reformed Montenegro army will move in, capturing two major cities for themselves. We see over here that the now reformed Croatian army has moved into Bosnia, and they have actually managed to defeat the Bosnian army, taking their city, forcing all of the Bosnians to go ahead and flee over to Serbia. Well, actually down here we see that Montenegro has moved in a force and is actually quite near the Croatian capital. However, they then suffered a pretty big defeat and were pushed back, only managing to occupy this one small town over here. While up here, Serbia will continue to move in now, actually doing pretty good against the Albanians. However, there is a front line that we have not talked about at all, and that is over here. We see the combined Byzantium and Varna troops have launched an invasion, doing very well, managing to encompass a lot of this land now, encircling and sieging this major city. While over here, we kind of see that these Bulgarian countries they've not united into one, but just to show that they've united into one front line, just because it makes it easier for me, they have over here. As we see that Varna has launched an invasion, taking over 4 of their major cities and 2 of their capitals. And we quickly see that Serbia is forced to send in its troops over here to occupy this land, and they have pushed back Varna's troops pretty far. However, Serbia is kind of overextending its army, as it is now also launching an invasion into Croatia over here, and pushing back Bosnia as it's fighting on 3 fronts now. While here, Sparta has launched an invasion into Macedonia, as Albania has also wiped out North Macedonia. As Macedonia is now fighting on 3 sides and not doing too well, and to make matters worse, this city has also fallen. However, up over here, we see that Albania continues to lose ground to Serbia. However, when they near the capital, they know that they're not, getting in the same situation. They've gotten in 6 times, so they will go ahead and push back. I don't know why I said 6. That was such a random number to pick. Well, from here, Croatia has now begun moving in to Montenegro, doing pretty well. However, Bosnia has managed to retake their capital city and push back. Well, over here, Varna pushes back very heavily against Serbia, who was forced to remove a lot of their troops to, defend the mainland. Well, over here, Macedonia has managed to make a pretty decisive counterattack, pushing back. However, it's at this point that Venice has joined the war, as Venetian troops will take these 2 islands before navally, bombarding this place. We also see that Venice will be making a naval landing over here, occupying this peninsula, or at least part of it. While over here, Macedonia will win another pretty big battle, and they will actually manage to take this major city, now pushing further and further in. While over here, Serbia's foothold in Bulgaria has completely disintegrated. We see over here that Albania has made some pretty decent pushbacks, managing to retake this major city, defeating the Serbians. While over here, Montenegro has been forced to basically withdraw its giant army from over here, forcing Serbia to occupy the rest of their land, as they use their army to kind of push back Croatia, although I swear Croatia was here. Maybe it is actually, I just can't see it. Okay, there we go, that's better. Because Croatia has gone ahead and pushed them back in. What? Pushed them back in? I honestly can't speak today. Croatia has pushed in to Montenegro, but then Montenegro pushed forces over here and has pushed them back a bit. Well, over here, Croatia has got itself back and has pushed back against Bosnia, repelling Serbia from the north. Well, over here, Albania has made a pretty dastardly play, actually managing to reconnect up with here, and we quickly see that everyone just leaves the city as they were about a week from starving. But this evacuation does allow Albania to replenish some of its forces. We see down here that Albania gives all of this land over to Sparta by occupation, saying, Sparta, you can occupy this, because we have to face the might of Serbia, which is the 7th strongest country in the world. Also, Venice has officially joined this war on the side of Albania, which is something that's quite cursed to see. We see up here that Serbia is forced to also go ahead and occupy this land, as Serbia is kind of realizing how stupid its allies are. And they're even more stupid as Sparta begins its invasion all the way up over here into Macedonia, as we see that Venice and Sparta go ahead and work out to, cut this land off, leaving all of this land to fall over to Byzantium. And yeah, it's not looking too good, is it? Over in Montenegro, Croatia continues to make advances, now taking these 3 major cities, like so. Down here, Serbia also does continue to push into Albania, now concentrating a lot of their forces. However, at the same time, Albania is fully withdrawn from any other country, and now they're now making one giant army, which has decisively defeated the Serbians, basically almost kicking them out of their country, just in one battle, because that's kind of how warfare works in this time. However, over here, Serbia is pushing back, but it's not looking too good for Serbia. Now, I don't really know what to colour these colours, because everything here is purpley pink. But anyway, I guess over here we see that Varna even launches an invasion into Serbia now occupying this land. While over here, Venice begins the sieging of the final city that Macedonia owns. As we see that basically everyone is now focusing their full attention on Serbia, as we see that Sparta has now sent its army to the Albanian front line, and they have combined to make a super mega army. And we quickly see that this super mega army, I don't know why I called it that, that sounds really cringe, has headed towards the Serbia capital, where they will fight a huge battle. We actually see that they will be pushed back, actually taking some pretty big losses. However, we see that Serbia kind of sacrifices their whole army for this, and when Albania receives even more reinforcements from places like Byzantium and Varna, which now have freed up their troops all the way around here. Also, by this point, we see that Montenegro has gone ahead and fallen, or at least they've basically almost fallen, aside from their little capital over here. We see that this now fully supplied army will go ahead and attempt one more time to take Serbia's capital, and this time they will actually succeed. And with Serbia's capital taken, and basically Serbia knows that it's cooked, we actually see that Serbia will have basically no choice but to go ahead and surrender. And the Second Balkan War has ended with an Albanian victory, and we can go ahead and look at a peace treaty. However, before we look at this peace treaty, it's kind of on some weird screen right now. I do just want to say, before you put down in the comments, this wouldn't happen. Battles decide victories here, okay? And, like, people losing battles basically kind of means they basically lose the whole war. Like, if you look at Serbia right now, like, none of it is occupied. But they basically lost their whole army. And they know that eventually it will all be occupied. And nobody really wants to just drag out a war. So that is why, if that makes any sense. If you still don't really like that, then maybe Swixel isn't for you. But yeah, let's go ahead and look at this peace treaty. I just wanted to say that. And looking at this peace treaty, we can see that basically the entire Balkans has just been redrawn. Now, you may be looking at this and be like, what on earth did you just draw? Like, this changed the map so much. And let's just say the carving up powers were extremely harsh in this peace treaty. Like, the rivalry, the Italian countries absolutely hate the Balkan countries. Croatia hates Serbia so much. Albania does not like Serbia anymore. And basically these countries were just like, we literally occupy all these land. There's nobody stopping us from taking this much land. And they essentially took huge amounts of land. Albania is just like tripled in size. Varna over here, who knows how big, like how much bigger they are now. And we actually see that Varna has gone ahead and changed their colour, and that's because this isn't Varna anymore. We officially see that after this peace treaty, that the world will recognise Varna as now the brand new Tsardom of Bulgaria. The capital will still be in Varna. Maybe if there was a more central city, I would change it, but there isn't. So it's staying in Varna, as we see the creation of Bulgaria up here. As yeah, I mean, I guess we can go over the individual bits. Croatia takes a bunch of land from Serbia. Albania and Croatia split Montenegro. Like all of the Albanian regions go over to Albania. So like Kosovo, whatever you want to call it over here. North Macedonia, I guess this version's North Macedonia, which is kind of this region over here. All of Western Macedonia. Sparta down here does go ahead and basically just get a bunch of land. Macedonia over here has just been carved up from every single side. I was going to give Venice some land, but that felt way too harsh. Like, just deleting Macedonia. Deleting Montenegro was one thing, but deleting Macedonia was too extreme. Actually, we see down here that Sparta and Albania are just going to be signing a treaty to split this country. And the local ruler is like, what the hell, you can't do that. But then they basically threaten to murder his whole family. And they're like, you can become like a local lord, you know? We're just going to take your land because we're big, strong powers and you're weak. And you should just shut up before I obliterate you off the face of the earth. And the guy will be like, I guess I have no choice. And there we go. We see that the Balkans is now home to no small countries. Macedonia is now the weakest country. And we actually see that Sparta will be finally becoming its own country. As we see down here, Sparta will proclaim the creation of the Kingdom of Sparta. Now, they keep good relations with Venice, but Venice was like, you know what, we can let you be independent, you know, just still give us some, you know, good rights. We can have preferable trading rights. You know, we can have some good deals. So they were never really under Venice's thumb, to be honest. They were always kind of like out of Venice's sphere. But now they're officially a completely independent country. And they've actually been having a pretty thriving economy, and Venice's economy has been kind of tanking. So they will go ahead and purchase a few islands from Venice, like so. And eventually they will end up looking something a bit like this. But yeah, those are the Balkans redrawn. Now this war, I think, took a while. So we're going to go ahead and get on with the rest of the stuff. And I'm going to, you know, stop just spending time here. We see up here that Byzantium has used their brand new, I guess, kind of land they gained or whatever, or kind of money they gained to expand their colony, which is now more than just a colony. It's more like an overseas territory at this point, which I guess is kind of what colony is anyway. But you get what I mean. And actually going back to the Balkan War, I'm sorry, we actually have to go to the religious organisation layer, as part of this treaty was to establish the creation of the Torchism religious organisation, with obviously, you know, Albania might be the head of this religion. A kind of ulterior motive for this war was to go ahead and basically decide who would be the leading kind of country in the seat of, I guess, maybe this type of religion's pope. I don't really know if they'd have a pope. This guy definitely has a pope in Venice. But I guess kind of the seat of the religion is over here in Albania. And we actually see that so many people move here because of how like spiritual and holy the city is, that it actually grows to be a very big city in it's like the biggest city in the Balkan region. But yeah, we see that Albania is the head of this religion. We actually see that this country system works a bit differently. They actually only have a council of 3 members, known as, I guess, kind of the Holy Three. I'm going to forget that name. Someone needs to remind me. Also, these like weird symbols are really outdated in like kind of location. So let me kind of put some, more symbols. I need a bigger symbol for Sparta. Like, genuinely, there's, like, look how outdated this map is. It's so bad. I'll need to update this at one point. At least fixing Sparta real quick. They now have a much updated symbol. And yeah, the Holy Three is Albania, Bulgaria, and Byzantium over here. As these three countries will go ahead and all kind of occupy this kind of greyish colour to show that they're council members. Now, I guess for the simplicity, you can kind of say this is the same as the council that Venice has, although it's only got 3 members. Obviously, it works slightly different. Venice's council has, well, themselves plus 5, so technically 6, whereas this one only has 3. However, we do see that Serbia is obviously still invited to join the religious organization because it's, beyond, I guess, kind of just relations. And we actually also see that Venice sells these islands over to Croatia finally. That's definitely not because they were annoying me that they went under Croatian control. But yeah, Serbia goes ahead and joins this organization. And we also see that Macedonia will be joining this. Also, Izmir, the Anatolian Republic, potentially. Yeah. And I guess just a few of these countries in this region will all choose to go ahead and join this organization. And now, the Holy Three isn't really something that can be changed. It'd have to be very hard to get changed. And it's kind of written that these 3 powers will stay eternally as the Holy Three. Like, the Holy Three has 3 main, I guess, kind of seats. A seat in Tirana, or I guess it's versions of Tirana, a seat over here in Varna, and a seat in, I guess, you could say Constantinople or just Byzantium. So, I guess you could say whoever owns these 3 big cities, or these... So you could say whoever owns these 3 cities, / locations, / major cities, whatever you want to call them, are the 3, like the Holy Three. So yeah, unlike over here where, this can change, the leading council members can change, over here, much less likely to change. It would only ever change if there was some, like, big event. But speaking of religious changing, we actually have to go over here because these people are going to be changing. As we see that recently over here, the kingdom of Valencia has converted and has begun converting their people pretty rapidly. Now, they mainly did this to gain political influence, but they've actually assumed, like, a seat on the council, and this means that one country has lost this council seat. It's actually Genoa over here, as they have unfortunately been demoted, as nobody cares about Genoa. So yeah, we have Venice, and then the 5 members are Austria, Florence, Croatia, Provence, and Valencia. And we actually see that the council will be expanding. Now, they replaced Genoa, but they're actually expanding, as they will add Sicily as, I guess, kind of the 6th council member. I guess you can call them cardinals. So I guess the Council of Division and Religion contains 7 people, while the Holy Thingamajig over here contains only 3. But yeah, there are just a few more events which are taking place in this video, and we actually have to go over to Armenia, because they have done some pretty big expansion, and they've actually gone ahead and explored all the way down into Egypt over here, exploring very far, and have pushed down the Nile. And they've actually discovered that there's essentially been a civilization here this whole time. Now, I saw this suggested in the comments. Instead of saying civilizations are, like, created, you can say they're kind of discovered. So I guess over here, Egypt has been discovered. Also, by this time, we see that the whole of the North African coast has been discovered. As we see that the Kurdish Empire has expanded their border down here, let me go ahead and draw it in. As they will push their borders down to look something like this, expanding quite a lot. And they will even launch another campaign pushing into Sinai, taking over the whole peninsula. If we look at the ethnicity, we can actually see that most of these people that they have been, I guess, kind of occupying are part of this kind of Palestinian ethnicity over here. And now, if you didn't realize, I did change the color of these. These used to be like a weird goldish, brownish color. I guess kind of goldish color, but I changed it to be blue. So we have Lebanon, Palestine, Syria, and Mesopotamian, I guess you could call it that. But we actually see down here that a new country will be forming. Or I guess not really forming, but kind of being discovered. As we see down here, the creation of... As we see the discovery of the Egyptian kingdom. As if we actually look at the ethnicity layer, this kingdom actually has 2 main ethnicities. We kind of have the people over here in Alexandria, and then I guess kind of the Nile people. As the people in the Alexandrian region are slightly different and have, like, pursued a bit of a different life throughout their history. Egypt has only recently conquered and pushed down the Nile. Now, this border looks honestly kind of terrible. Okay, I've tried to fix it, but I give up. But yeah, this Egyptian kingdom exists. However, this kingdom isn't the most stable kingdom. The nobles have quite a lot of power in this kingdom. I mean, the nobles have power everywhere, but specifically in Egypt. And some things are on the rise. And the Kurdish Empire may be looking at this country like, that's something I can exploit. But for now, obviously they aren't. That might be a next episode thing. So the Kurdish expanded over here. I'm pretty sure I showed that. But yeah, they kind of expanded everywhere. And officially, the Kurdish are now bigger than the Swiss. They might have been already. I might have said that already. But, you know, they kind of are now. They're definitely now, because I just checked it. But we actually have to go over to the Swiss for our next event. And this recording is very long. So let's go ahead and look at this event. But what is happening is that the Swiss, and specifically Johann's sister, she's looking to claim some glory. People really don't like her, especially actually over in her homeland in this region over here. And also kind of near the Austrian border, these people don't really like her. And the main reason she's looking at the Bohemian Confederation over here is because it has just been united. A very brilliant man has basically gone on a huge conquest over this time and has united the realm. I mean, it's very like autonomous, kind of like Egypt where the nobles have very high local autonomy, but it is united under one colour. However, it's not even going to make it to the end of the episode, unfortunately, as Johann's sister sees this and is like, hey, Johann tried to take out these barbarians, I did a good job. I'm going to finish what Johann started and take out the Bohemian barbarians, which have plagued the Swiss for like ever. As we see that Johann's sister will be launching an invasion. Now, if you want to come up with a name for her sister, in the comments, then you can. But anyway, she won't take it that quickly, but she will quickly move in subduing these regions. However, then a huge barbarian army will meet the sister, and she will be pushed back, and now this news will be spread back home wildfire, lighting up a bunch of stuff for the Swiss to deal with. However, what news won't be reached for a while is the fact that she has managed to retake the Bohemian Confederation capital. Well, not retake it, but take it. And yeah, she's basically just subdued the Bohemians. She did this pretty well. However, most people in the Swiss think that she's losing this. They've released her win like a year after she's won, because she has to go ahead and subdue some like further rebellions in this region. That's basically what her life is now, subduing rebellions in the north. Rebellions are very prone in kind of this region up here. There's loads of rebellions. Mainly not in the French region. This region is actually one of the most civilized regions of the empire. Obviously the Swiss down here. But yeah, she has gone ahead and finally gotten rid of, well, she's finally gotten rid of the Bohemians. Well, not really, because Moravia exists over here. But for the most part, she's gotten rid of the main Bohemian state. We also see over here that the Swiss have gone ahead and pushed their natural border up to this river. While over here, Moravia has expanded its realm to go ahead and encompass some regions looking like that. And it might be soon time for me to make a Polish ethnicity, but that's not happening in this episode. But what is happening over here is that the Berbers are back on a conquest. Last episode we saw them defeat Sicily, and this time they're going to defeat France as they launch an invasion into this region, instantly beginning a siege of this land. However, France quickly launches troops back here, managing to retake this land, and they actually recruit their good old ally over here, who, you know, they split the old country with, which will now be changed to a yellow colour. And with the help from their ally, they will actually defeat the Berber army, pushing them back, and France even launches an invasion into the Berber region. However, the Berbers then go ahead and reorganize themselves, and they actually learn from the French, which have some pretty good tactics, and they will then launch a huge assault, crushing and basically forcing the main French army to be over here. And while the main French army is over there, they will just ravage through this land. First actually going all the way over to here, where they will actually burn this city to the ground. I won't remove it from the map, but they basically burn most of it. Like maybe like 75% of it is destroyed. While over here, we see that many cities will turn over after hearing this news, fearing that this will happen to them. The only two cities that really remain are these two major cities. However, they will begin sieging them, like so. While over here, the main French army has been evacuated and has left. And we even see that the Berbers have gone on a huge conquest into this region, now subduing all of it. And eventually, the rest of France will go ahead and fall. And we can go ahead and look at this pretty obvious peace treaty. And there we go, this is what the peace treaty looks like. Very obvious, fully annexed, but they also expanded. And we actually have to go over to the ethnicity layer, as the Berbers are a ruthless people, and they have massacred many, and I mean many, Algerians, probably like around like 20%, maybe even a third of the Algerian population, now pushing them back over only to the main, I guess, kind of more not urban, what's it called? Like, not rural, maybe it is urban areas. But, like, it's not cities. I guess you'd call it urban areas. The areas that are less rural. So, I guess that is urban. But, yeah, the Berbers have basically expanded their ethnicity through massacring. Now pushing further and further into the Sahara. And the Berber Empire is now climbing the world stages rapidly. And we see that over here, Valencia is kind of fearing that the Berbers will just keep going in North Africa. And meanwhile, Sicily over here is fearing for the fact that they'll lose Carthage, which is an important trading colony. These two cities over here, basically, I mean, it controls all trade. Like, these two cities control all trade going through the Mediterranean, so that's important. But yeah, there is just one final event which is taking place, or actually, this event is probably taking place next episode. We actually have to talk about the Swiss. Now, I mean, I just said like 5 minutes ago that the Swiss were going through a problem, and that is true, because people are, you know, going to foreign powers, like over here in Jutland, Austria, and Provence, and we see that people are basically conspiring to rebel and take over the Swiss. We see that some rebel groups over here in this kind of French region are going over to Provence and being like, hey, you will basically essentially join you and you can just take over the whole Swiss Empire if you help us. The same thing will be said to Austria over in this Liechtenstein region and to some extent in this Bohemian region, while in the north, in the kind of German regions and the Dutch regions to some extent, people go over to Jutland and say, hey, if you help us, we'll, you know, do the same thing. And we just see in the Netherlands that the Netherlands being the Netherlands will just kind of have their own separatists that kind of just want to form their own state. Obviously, none of these rebellions are led by people that aren't Swiss. They're all led by Swiss people or like very high nobles that are essentially Swiss people. So it's not led by Dutch people at all. But yeah, all of these things are happening at the same time. And Johann Sister is gearing up for a very cataclysmic event, which we'll be taking next episode, which will be known as the Second Swiss Crisis. So stay tuned for that. Although, unlike the first one, it's not like an all-out civil war just yet. But just make sure you watch out for France, Liechtenstein, Germany, Netherlands, and Jutland, Austria, and Provence. And also the Swiss, as all hell is going to be breaking loose over here. And the question is, can Johann's sister keep together the realm that her brother built up and made so strong? But yeah, that's the question for next episode. The question for this episode is, what are the power rankings? And I can tell you, these are the previous power rankings, and some of these are changing a lot. The number one country is Armenia. They have now assumed this spot. And also, if we go over to the major city layer, we can see that their capital has absolutely boomed in population, now sizing up. And they've also, I don't know why the capital wasn't here. This looks like a much better spot to base your capital. So I've moved their capital over. The number 2 is the Swiss. Now I need to put an underscore here. I didn't do this last time because I'm an idiot. But there's like a big difference between number 2 and number 3. And number 3 will be going over to the Berbers. They have ascended to 3rd place through their extreme military. And now taking over these two major cities have given them a pretty prosperous economic hub. So they are now number 3. Now there's no gap here. They aren't like creating their own power rank. Number 4, we'll go over to Provence. Number 5, we'll go over to Florence. I think this is the first time that an Italian state is placed this low. Like the highest Italian state has always been maybe not in the top. I think always in the top 3 actually. Now here's where it gets tricky because I honestly don't know from here. Number 6, I guess, will be Sicily, just because I mentioned earlier their trading is incredible. Number 7 will be Valencia. Number 8 will be going over to Venice. Number 9 will be going over to Albania. Number 10 will be going over to Croatia. And now I guess I'll do top 15 because I feel like that is, you know, important. Number 11 will go over to Croatia. Number 10 will go over to Jutland. Number 13 will go over to Bulgaria. Number 14 will go over to Izmir. And rounding up top 15 will be Sparta, as these are the power rankings. Now, potentially Anatolia, Armenia, and yeah, those two countries potentially could be in this power rankings. However, because I really don't care about those countries. Well, not I don't care about them. It's more like, you know, their power rankings aren't going to matter because the only country Armenia is fighting is going to be Kurdish Empire, which they're not winning against, frankly. Same thing for Anatolia. So that's why I don't really care about those countries. I guess kind of another contender could be Byzantium. Maybe some Iberian states over here. But other than that, I'm pretty happy with these rankings. Now, keep in mind, there is kind of no gap in these rankings. So there's not too big of a difference between 5 and 6. Similarly over here, like Bulgaria could be Albania depending on how the battles go. So like this, there's like a 4. There is like a gap here, but like it's not that big of a gap. Like if it was Bulgaria versus Kurdish Empire, then there'd be a very, very little chance of them winning. But say Bulgaria and Albania fought, Bulgaria could come out on top. But yeah, these are the power rankings. And that was episode 13. The Second Balkan War. Probably maybe the biggest war that's ever happened. Like, no war has ever shaped a map like that. Like, Albania grew like 3 times. Varna grew like 3 times. Macedonia shrunk to nothing. Montenegro wiped out the map. Serbia shrunk in half. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.